Queen charges have returned as one of the best openings for plenty of strategies, so let's break down how you can queen charge in 2026, from the types of queen charges to how you can use your spells and equipment to secure value. First things first, what is a queen charge? A queen charge is where you're using the archer queen and healers to push into the base for value and pathing. Often you're using super wall breakers to open the walls, but if there are open wall segments, you can take advantage of those too. Additionally, there are two types of queen charges you'll often use. One being a standard queen charge to clear good pathing and value for defensive targeting troops like balloons or dragon riders, and the other being a recall queen charge to funnel out a given area to control the rest of your troops while still having her in the fray with your army. Now, her best build for queen charges has changed massively since equipment first released, and specifically depends on which type of queen charge you're using. The only non-negotiable equipment between both types is the monolith arrow. Its bonus damage, HP increase, and damage reduction makes it a very strong option for any queen charge, as it provides enough survivability and damage all in one equipment. So for recall queen charges, using the monolith arrow and action figure tends to be the best, as she is able to charge with the monolith arrow before being recalled, and can then use the action figure with your main push to provide additional support and damage with the giant. However, for standard queen charges, you'll want to use the monolith arrow with either the invisibility vial or frozen arrow. Both are very good options, but just depends on what you prefer. If you need additional coverage later in the charge, the invisibility vial tends to offer more to your queen. However, if you prefer having an additional slow, the frozen arrow can be a good option as well. Now that you have the equipment and what levels they should be at least past, let's now focus on how to actually queen charge. Regardless of the version, you're using healers with the queen, and often are taking an ice golem to tank for the queen initially, while offering a freeze on death for nearby defenses and enemy units, along with a balloon to scout for seeking air mines. The pet that you take will also matter if you are in need of funneling trash buildings or not. The unicorn is one option that is especially good at lower town halls for the decent healing, but isn't always a good choice. If you're a town hall 16 or above, the angry jelly tends to be a great option due to it forcing the queen to target defenses, but may need additional spells to be used. You can also use Sneezy at town hall 17, as the booger spawns can tank damage against the multi-archer tower and can even soak up traps if a balloon triggers them. Finally, for Town Hall 18 players, you can also choose the Greedy Raven in some cases with its ability to clear resource buildings quickly. So if you're not using the Angry Jelly, you'll often need to funnel your queen into the base. So having a few baby dragons can work quite well, but they do need some proper scouting to not instantly die from a Seeking Air Mine. Additionally, you can use a wizard so long as any defenses are not within range of it. You can also use a ground troop like the Yeti to funnel outside buildings and defenses that are near the outside, but be careful to not have any ground troops lure the healers away from your queen. Just make sure to use a super wall breaker though, to make sure that your queen is able to move into the base more comfortably. While your charge is going, you'll want to use spells to keep the queen alive and moving between buildings. More often than not, using rage spells is the best way to keep the queen alive, as it buffs the healer's healing and queen's DPS. This should be used slightly ahead of your healers so they stay in the spell for longer. Additionally, invisibility spells can be used to mitigate a lot of damage so long as it covers both the queen and healers. Freeze is also very useful against splash damage defenses like the ricochet cannon or even the logger, to prevent too much damage onto the queen or healers. Now, where this differs is what you do after all of your queen charge support spells are used. For recall queen charges, you'll often use a recall spell to return the queen back to your army, so she can be used with the main push, or she can be used to clear outside trash buildings away from the push. However, for standard queen charges, I recommend using her invisibility vial ability to get additional value, as the extra survivability and damage from this equipment allows you to get far more while keeping her alive as your army moves through the base. Now that you know how to charge, it's time to focus on where you should charge. This does depend on your attack, as it can usually change depending on what you need from it, as different armies like Lalo or Super Bowlers need different things to be successful, such as in standard queen charges, where you want to identify the key areas of value and key threats like the Revenge Tower, Monolith, Logger Guardian, CC, etc. This overall lets you find a good spot to get enough funneling and value, but it can always change from base to base. As for recall queen charges, find an area where you can clear some key threats, but also to quickly set up funneling for your attack. This enables you to quickly get in and clear a compartment or two before being recalled back to the army bar. An additional tip to help if you're often facing time fails is to manage the time of your queen charges. More often than not, they should be no more than 1 minute to 1 minute and 20 seconds, allowing for enough time to clear out value within the queen charge while also having enough time to use the main portion of your attack. This way, you can prevent time fails from ever happening due to focusing on the queen charge for too long. Now, to give you a good example of the queen charge, let's look at Super Bowlers, as they commonly use the queen charge to set up great funneling. First things first, we want to start with the Ice Golem. This is going to be used to tank for the queen, a few balloons to scout out air traps for the healers, and then that way we have our queen charge working in. With the Angry Jelly, we are using a recall version, so that's why we want to use a rage spell to provide a lot more support for both the healers and the queen as we dive into a corner of the base. We can use invisibility spells to provide additional survivability for our attacks, so we're able to actually get a little bit more value with the queen charge before we just recall her back into our army for later use. This is going to allow us to establish a little bit more funneling, so we can use the Barbarian King on one side in order to help clear out a funnel, while over on the other side, we're just going to start sending in our Super Bowlers. This is why we have the Grand Warden, the Archer Queen with the healers, and then obviously balloons to scout out any seeking air mines early. This way we can start diving in for the Rage Spell Tower compartment while having the Skywagon to provide additional air troops to protect the healers. Otherwise, with the Dragon Duke, we're able to use him over on the side to help clear out a funnel as well as stun defenses. We can use the Heroic Torch and the Eternal Tome with the Grand Warden in order to continue to move into the base, especially into the core, where we can use other spells like Freeze in order to mitigate a lot of damage, and we can use Rage spells to provide a lot of power for the Super Bowlers. Any leftover invisibilities can be used with your Super Bowlers thanks to them being a ranged unit, and otherwise just any of your other spells you can use to mitigate damage is exactly what you should do. Otherwise, this is a very strong army, and this will absolutely crush bases. Super Bowlers just synergize really well with the modern day queen charge, whether it's a recall or a standard. The recall tends to be a little bit better since you're able to create a lot more funneling and still control where the healers go. Otherwise, this is a very powerful army that you should be giving a try if you're a fan of queen charges. Despite queen charges being gone for a year, it's already seen massive changes ever since the release of the Monolith Arrow, and with plenty of strategies to choose from, having this updated guide should help you in using the queen charge. If you want to check out an army that doesn't use the queen charge though, check out this thrower guide right here, but YouTube says you may prefer this one instead.